this is maybe more for the podcast, but it really bums me out that like the original versions of these first two albums just kind of don't exist anymore.
Wait, this got remixed too?
It didn't get remixed. It's just that you can't go listen to revolutions per minute on a streaming service. You have to listen to RPM 10. Like it's called RPM 10 and everything.
Oh, well, I've solved that by having a local iTunes library.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, I literally have the CD sitting in a case at my feet. I can do that whenever I want.
We are going to talk about the credits or the liner notes of this album.
I should probably whip out that book then.
I'm
actually doing it, I promise.
There's just one thing that I think is extraordinarily funny about the liner notes here, which was probably not that funny in 2003, but I really like it. Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite artist discographies. I'm Troy Sennett.
And I'm Matt Kistler.
And today we are talking about the sophomore album by Rise Against, an album called Revolutions Per Minute. This came out in April 8th, 2003 on Fat Records. And this is a contender for, like, almost certainly has a slot in my top 25 albums of all time. So this is one I've been really looking forward to talking about. One of the two kind of like primary reasons I wanted to do a Rise Against series. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of me gushing about this record, I think. What about you, Matt? I kind of think you might have a similar feeling.
You and me both. Yeah, I mean this record came out, you know, I was already a fan of the band at the time. It came out right before my birthday in 2003, and that's a selling point for me, is getting an album for my birthday. I have a really core memory of listening to this album while we were at the Air and Water show in 2003, which feels like a weird friction in my brain.
Can you hear an album at the Air and Water show?
We were watching from, I think it was like my dad's boss's condo or something. It was some absurd thing like that. So we were like far enough away that it wasn't too weird, or too loud rather. But you know, other than that, yeah, it was blocked out by the sound of like Blue Angels a lot. But yeah, I love this album so much that, like, if I hadn't already been pretty on board by the Unraveling, like, this would have sold me on the band 100%, and really like kept me on board for many more albums after it.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a, you know, any band makes an album this good, and they've probably made some fans for life who will stick with them. You know, if not love everything they put out, at least like. Check out everything they put out. And I think, like, I mean, this is 2003 is like such a fertile time for this, for punk rock, for, you know, and related genres. Like, there's a lot of bands that put out records in 2003 that, you know, some of which we talked about on this podcast already, and more who we will, who I think kind of earned basically their, you know, whatever we call it, season tickets. Like I you know, I've got season tickets to Rise Against based on this record, Thursday based on War All the Time, Thrice based on Artist in the Ambulance, Yellow Card based on Ocean Avenue. It was a good year. I did not know anything about any of these bands in the year 2003 because all I listened to at the time was the Ataris.
You know what? That's fair. I can see that.
No, that's but like, yeah, I think there's, as we kind of get into the history of this album and how they shifted from what they were doing on the Unraveling to this, like the amount of care and intention that they put into writing, you know, a more political, a more focused album. I think it all comes through, and it's what, like, I don't know. I can look back at this because I hear this album a little bit later after I heard Siren Song, but it kind of like galvanized a lot of my political views and made me think about like my place in the world more than almost any other album had at that point. Yeah, I don't know. How has it grown with you over the years?
I don't know if I could say it's grown. I think it's just kind of stayed a favorite of mine this entire time. But like, yeah, I think kind of in general, like, I think I'm kind of on the same train as you in that, like, you know, this wasn't the first political punk album I'd heard. There are some bands we won't name that I probably heard before this. I don't really remember the order in which those bands came to me, but like being at least vaguely aware of what was going on, because I was like, you know, in my early teens at this point, or I guess mid-teens at this point. We'd had a major historical event happen here in the United States, and that spawned some incredibly questionable wars that we are all still feeling the effects of worldwide. And this album talks about a lot of that. Maybe not super directly, but pretty directly. And I found that to be very, inspiring and very thoughtfully done. They, in the liner notes of this record, they recommend, hey, go read A People's History of the United States, buddy. Maybe if you like this record, you might learn something from that.
My favorite thing about this, I love I love having kind of citations or recommendations in liner notes. I think that's awesome. More bands should do that. Rise Against does it on some of their albums, but the thing I was going to point out that I thought was so funny was that at the end of this list of you should read People's History of the United States, you should read 1984, you should read Player Piano, one of the better Vonnegut books in my opinion. But at the end, michaelmoore.com.
Wow, what a time. What a time to be alive.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the that's kind of the space they're playing in, I think. And I don't know, they really do tackle these issues more head on than any band I had heard, except for maybe Green Day on American Idiot. But even then, I think that Rise Against is a lot more explicit in what they're railing against and what they're projecting on this album.
Yeah, and I mean that this album comes from the self a lot more than say American Idiot does. That album is very explicitly political, but also wrapped in this very fictional narrative, which is part of the reason that album works so well and why it ties together so well. We'll talk about that album someday.
Yeah,
I
it's
won't
a rock
worry
opera.
about it right now. Yeah, it's a rock opera. I mean, we talked about this, a little bit on the last episode, how well Rise Against executes songs, about the personal, and this album really feels like this really impeccable synthesis of the personal and the political and the ways in which those two intertwine at any given moment in any given context. And I think that's really kind of the big legacy of this album, is that it set Rise Against up for that to be their thing for pretty much the rest of their career at this point.
Yeah, I mean they're basically always the shorthand in their bio is always going to be a politically charged punk rock band or whatever, from this moment forward. And they talk about that in the chapter in Dan Ozzi's Sellout about which is obviously more about Siren Song as their first major label record, but they talk about Tim wanting to tap into the volatile mood of the country at post 9/11, and how I mean that really is, I mean, probably when the polarization of politics ramps up as much as it closer to what it is today. We'll get into that more in the lyrics of each song, but it's all over this record, and I think it's done really well. This was produced by Bill Stevenson and Jason Livermore at the Blasting Room, who was apparently their third producer choice. They wanted to go with Brian McTernan, which was would have been awesome.
Sure.
But he didn't want to work with a Fat Records band. And their second choice was Ryan Green, who apparently was already booked. But Bill Stevenson basically goes on to become an honorary member of Rise Against, and they're produced many of their records. They talk a lot about how they just vibed with him really well because he was in the Descendants and they loved the Descendants, and he would just tell them stories and from the road, and how, or he played Descendants and Black Flag, right? Or am I mixing that up?
I think Bill was briefly in Black Flag. I don't remember when. I'd have to look that up.
Yes, he is. Because I was gonna feel really dumb if that wasn't right. But he would talk about how his quote in there, what he told Tim was, "Don't start a punk band unless you're willing to go to war every night," which was what Black Flag was like. Apparently, where they would challenge people to beat them up on the road or whatever.
Damn.
Which is just not a lifestyle that I could handle, I don't think. So maybe I shouldn't start a punk band. Too late.
Whoops.
But yeah, I mean, I think this album sounds awesome. They Joe Principi at some point in one of the interviews talks about how when they listened back to like the tracks, they like barely recognized themselves as a band, like they in a good way. Like they sounded like they sounded in their heads, like how they thought, you know, that a punk rock record should sound, like as tight and as like polished is maybe the wrong word, but like I don't know, there's hardly a tighter band out there than Rise Against, and you hear it on this album.
For sure, yeah. And you know, we'll get into this, maybe not a ton, but with hindsight being a thing that we have of a 10-year anniversary reissue of this album with demos of pretty much the entire record, minus I think 2 songs. RPM 10 came out in 2013, and hearing those demos, like there are some substantial changes that happened, but like it is very clear that like this band like goes into the studio to record a rough thing and already knows pretty much exactly what they want a song to sound like. Like it's intense how similar some of these demos sound to the final product, minus like that little extra production oomph.
Right, it's the tones. It's like I think that it's the tempos that are a little bit different. I think Black Masks is like a little bit faster on the demos, but they did say that they went in fully prepared for this. They went into the studio fully prepared with the whole album thought out, which I like when bands do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you could always tell. The other thing that I want to talk about before we get into the songs is I love the album artwork.
The album artwork
I think
is so iconic.
This headphones plugged into a hand grenade it's iconic. It was one of those. I'm gonna say this a couple times in this record, but it was one of those things that like when I'm 13 years old or whatever, and I see this album cover, it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, or I didn't know you could write this and not be on like a list or something. That's and I think and to be honest, like Rise Against is pretty tame in terms of that type of like of provocativeness or whatever, provocation compared to a band like Propaganda or something.
Sure.
But like at the time, they really that type of like confrontational punk attitude really stuck with me, and the way that they translate it to like a mass audience is pretty impressive.
Yeah, like it. Obviously, this isn't when they're at the height of their popularity. We're still pretty far away from that. But like truly, like these songs, so many of them like feel very subversive, especially for the time, because like you said, like we were kind of at a point collectively where we were starting to, and like this might have just been, I was only seeing this at this point because I was the age I was at the time, but like the gap between people who felt good about war in the Middle East and people who felt bad about war in the Middle East was pretty large, and the people who felt good about it were pretty powerful. So like it was a big deal to like hear something like this around this time where we were still doing the fucking freedom fries thing or whatever, like like stupid crap like that, where like we were very hoorah America. And I felt like such a little badass listening to this album when I was 15. Yeah, and frankly, I still kind of do.
Right. That's the thing. That's why it's so cool, is that you feel like that when you're that age, and then but like you go back to it in your 30s, and it's like, well, this there's actually still something to some of these lyrics. I still feel like if you take them as they're intended, at their face value, which I think they're, Tim is a very earnest writer, and I think that they are intended to be taken that way. And that's like, I don't know, there's still a lot to think about and to hear in a line like "I have an American dream" that involves black masks and gasoline. Like, I think that's a relevant lyric to today.
Yeah, and I mean, like in music that's as mainstream as this, and I know Rise Against wasn't mainstream at this point, but they were well known in their spheres. Like having the kind of like on their face borderline radical politics like in the lyrics is like something that like doesn't get matched by many bands in general, like to this day. Like you've got pretty much Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down. I'm trying to think of other bands that are like that big of a deal that are like kind of sticking to stuff like that as part of their band ethos.
Yeah, or at least bands that were aiming to play on a big stage, to be signed to a major label. Like, totally. And there's a lot to dig into. This is kind of what Sellout is about. There's a lot to dig into with the idea of like, the corporate packaging of radical politics, which I think we'll get into more and more on the later albums. yeah, I mean, it's all there in the lyrics, and I don't know, it's so good.
It really is.
But yeah, we should get into the songs. This album starts off with Black Masks and Gasoline, a perfect opener, and the origin story of me as a bassist. The bass tone in the song in this whole album, but this song especially is just perfect and made me be like, that's the instrument I want to play. I don't know, it's just a song about kind of the urgency of the moment and the need to strive for a different vision of this country than what it seems like the leaders of the country and a lot of people in the country were pushing for at the time.
Yeah, it's such a it's a yeah, like you said, it's a perfect opener. Like sonically incredible, lyrically very in your face. And if you align with Rise Against Politics at all, like it's gonna grab you by the throat and not let go, like straight up. Like the idea of subverting the idea of the American dream with radical protest is a way of putting it, I suppose, but you know what, it's 2025, we'll leave it at that. But like, yeah, the idea of taking action, like really, I feel like it's obviously a core part of Rise Against in general, is like, we're not just Pokemon going to the polls. So, like we are taking direct action to create the world that we want to create, and like that being such a core part of this album, like is a big part of the reason that it sticks with me, and the big part of the reason that like I'm for all the things we'll talk about later in the series, I'm gonna give Rise Against a chance every single time, as a direct result of that kind of core ideal.
Yeah, and I think like also hearing a lyric like, I don't understand how you got this idea so deeply ingrained in your head that this world is something that you must impress. Like hearing that as a teenager and who was kind of like, I don't know about disaffected, but just being like, why do I need to, even not from a political perspective, just like, why do I need to live in the way that anyone tells me that I should? It's one of those like super simple, but just like kind of perfect emotional, like knife points that this album has.
Yeah, for sure.
Song is great. It to this day is probably my favorite Rise Against song, or maybe my second favorite. They opened with this at the show that we saw together.
That was so good.
It was amazing.
I kind of assumed that they were going for we're going to open with the openers for the first 3 albums each night, and then they ended up playing State of the Union later that night, which was also great.
Yeah. All right, next up is Heaven Knows. I think of this album as such a political album, but this is another song that's kind of like, it hits some of the more kind of personal, emotional notes that The Unraveling does, but I think it's a little more visceral than a lot of The Unraveling, just in the way that it deals with isolation and loneliness. I think this is a very, very good song. What do you think?
I love this song. It's both wild and unsurprising that it was the single from the album. Like it has a music video and everything. But like this song, Trigger Warning, is about somebody in the narrator's life who committed suicide, and kind of how you deal in the wake of that. Which is a tough subject to go in on. Just the way this song is constructed is so like great. There's like, the opening riff is great. The pre-verse riff is absolutely nuts. The yelled vocals in the like refrain, the and from here I see the neon grids of cities, with like the gang vocals that happen during that. Just I love it so much. It gives me the brain tingles in a way that most punk songs don't. But like, yeah, I remember loving this song a lot back in the day, and like maybe not quite understanding why. And I feel like my appreciation for it has only grown over the last 22 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is also, like you mentioned, this is as the single. Like this would not have been my single choice from this record. It would not have been the song that I guessed what they would have picked as a single. I think it works, but I think there's like 3 better singles on this album.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a very obvious other choice. And it's not the Journey cover, everybody. Sorry. Even though that rules, and we'll talk about it later.
It really does.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of the ones where, like, I did notice a little bit of difference between the demo and the end product, but it's mostly in like slightly different lyrics and like a little bit of a different vocal cadence, which throws me way off because I'm so used to the way that this song originally sounded.
Yeah,
In the
thing
studio
is,
version, that is.
yeah, the thing is though with the demos, like I don't think they made any negative changes from the demos to the final
No.
album. I think everything they changed, every melody, every lyric is better on the album, which is a testament to them as writers, to Stevenson as a producer. Like they didn't, they workshopped the songs until they were right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that is the big difference between the demos and the final product, is just that like everything got tightened up, everything became just better. Like that's kind of the end of the story.
Yeah, and there's bands we'll talk about where I don't think that's the case, where I think that they left something out of a song that would have made it a lot better. But yeah, in this case, we have the evidence to show that the best versions of these songs were the ones that came out at the time. Next up is Dead Ringer. This is another kind of a harder, faster song, more in the vein of The Unraveling. The kind of song I would typically rank near the bottom of a Rise Against album for me, but the chorus on this is so good that it just like it really holds it together.
It really does. Like it is a minute and a half long, but it is so effective. Like there's a lot packed in here. It does breeze by, but it feels like a whole song in the way that like we talked about 3 Day Weekend on the last album. Like that almost doesn't feel like that. It feels like they wrote a short, quick song and like maybe something wasn't quite there. But this feels like the whole package, honestly.
Yeah. 3 Day Weekend is an idea and Dead Ringer is a full song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had you seen Rise Against around this time, or did you not see them until a little bit later?
I first saw them at Warped Tour in I think 2005, because it was before Siren Song. It might have been 2006, but it was right before Siren Song. No, nonetheless.
You mean before Sufferer?
Oh no! Oh well, no. When did Siren Song come?
Siren Song's 2004.
Siren Song's 2004. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe it was the first Warped Tour I ever went to. I know it was. Yeah, it had to have been 2004. Dang. Anyway, yeah, must have been then, because they were giving out samplers with Give It All and Anywhere But Here on them, and I hadn't heard either of those songs before, except for they played them. I think they played Give It All at that set on the weird little Trade-Off 2 stage.
Yeah, but you weren't going to like the Arlington Heights VFW or anything to see them.
No, that was my friends who were cooler than me going to those.
Because I would say the thing about Dead Ringer is I feel like it must have just absolutely killed in that environment.
Oh God, I'm absolutely sure.
Yeah. Next up is Halfway There. This song I think is another. I don't know. The choruses on this record are great, but the thing that I really like about this song is the structure of the verses. The way that the first verse is all questions and the second verse is all like certainty. And it's a good structure for a song.
Yeah, the way that the vocals and the instruments ramp up as that first verse specifically goes on is great, and then like we kind of drop back just a little bit for the like half-length chorus, which is the kind of answer to those questions that we started in the first verse. Like there are so many great ideas packed into the first half of this song, but like, yeah, that chorus is really something special. Like it's a real incredible payoff for what builds up to it, which is admittedly like not very much time wise, but it feels so satisfying when you get there.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this song is it's Tim in his lower register showing his range a little bit. While the rest of the band still gets to riff as much as they always do.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why, but like the drum part for the chorus specifically has always stuck with me. Like it's not wild or anything, but like just it slots so well with everything else that's going on that it's just like kind of always been an all-timer in the back of my head.
Yeah, agreed. Next up is Like the Angel, which this starts off like the run in the middle of this album that makes it so perfect to me. This is the song that if I had just been guessing, like what did they pick? What did they make the single? This is the song I would pick.
I'm still shocked that it was never a single at all,
I
let alone the single.
I had sworn there was a music video, or it must have been in a video game or something. Like I think this was the first song I heard from this album.
I think this was in a Tony Hawk game.
That would do it then. But yeah, I don't know, the opening bass riff is so great. I'm hearing it in my head right now.
It's oh my God, Joe. Everybody, if you thought we were done talking about how great Joe is at bass, you're terribly wrong, and you should abandon ship now.
This is another song that I think it leans more toward the personal than the political side of things. It's basically a love song, which feels always kind of is going to feel sort of incongruous with the political punk rock project, but like I don't know, it's people have so many different sides to them, and I think it shows that really well. I love the all roads that I might take will all one day lead back to you. I think it's a good line. I love the bridge of this song.
Yeah, the bridge of the song is great. I really like the guitar solo on this song isn't nuts, but I love it. Like it serves the song really well. My personal pick for a line from this is "Tomorrow brings one less day without you," which is a real gut punch in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's the guitar solo thing. We talked a little bit about that on the Unraveling, how that album didn't really have guitar solos, and I kind of like guitar solos, so they're delivering on this one.
Totally.
After that is Voices Off Camera, just another like basically perfect song. The thing that I want to call out specifically on this one is that the backing vocals in like the last in the chorus at the end of the is it the second chorus, the third chorus? I don't remember. But there's a backing vocal thing that they do that's so cool that like they take like 3 words of each line and extend them across the entire line. And I'm sure that's it's not like complicated or anything, but it always sticks out at me as like, oh, it's a great use of backing vocals.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely that second chorus because it's right before the heart is something you can't control line drops.
Yeah,
in the bridge there. Yeah, that's such a great touch. The chorus to this song will always get me. Like it's just impeccable, honestly.
Yeah, and the other thing that I like I think this whole album is kind of about urgency. You know, like that's sort of the theme here. And this song specifically mentions like, do you feel this underlying sense of urgency? It feels like sometimes, or even especially now, but it feels like the chance to sort of do something to swing things back in the correct direction, or you know, is slipping by. And like I don't know, I think that like I heard, you know, I felt that in this album in, you know, the mid 2000s, and I feel it listening to it today. Like, makes me want to do something.
Yeah, for sure. And like this, like that line about the underlying sense of urgency, or are you as blind as me, is like such a good tying of the like kind of personal side of this album and the more outwardly aimed political side of this record, because like it's obviously very easy to kind of just ignore what's going on in the world. I feel like I'm being super non-specific here, and that's not because I'm like afraid to talk about anything specific. It's just there's so fucking much going on.
Right? Yeah. It's like which thing do you talk?
And there was back then too. Like yeah, it's very easy to just drop out. And like I think addressing that kind of, you know, desire despite knowing that it's the wrong thing is a really kind of bold move on a record like this, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And then the way you respond to that feeling is with a song like Blood, Red, White, and Blue.
Yes.
Because I think probably their most like potent, visceral song on the album, maybe.
I think I would agree with you on that one. The outro is very direct.
Yeah, I mean it is sort of the most specific political statement like on the record. That's, you know, it's talking about a war based on pride, a government that is corrupt and is also like appealing, saying that they are, you know, this is the way that God is leading us, and you know, it ends with that question of like, would God bless America? And the answer is probably no.
Yeah. But despite the ask for it at the end, which that has always struck me, is like it feels like such an obvious turn to literally end the song on the phrase "God bless America" with no qualifiers. But damn, it hits every single time. And boy, we've talked about many albums on this podcast where it would be super cool if they weren't relevant 20 plus years later. But well. None of these things have changed at all. So that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Another chorus that is in my head all the time. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible. The second verse is also really like this is a great song. This is such a good song. I don't know why I'm trying to poke at specific parts. Like it really just works.
Yeah. After that is Broken English, the tub thumping of this album, song about falling down and getting right back up again. No, that's dumb.
No, that's good. Listen, Chumbawamba is an anarchist band. They belong in this conversation.
You know what? That's true. Okay, I give myself a little bit of credit for that joke.
Yeah.
No, song is it's the perfect fusion of like of catchy and punk. I don't know. They're just good at that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on the last album too, and this feels like just a step up from the couple times that they pulled this off on the Unraveling. Like that chorus is so catchy, and like this song sticks with you, even though it's like it's obviously not through composed. Like it has a chorus, but like the structure of the verses is different every time. Like it's kind of ABC B D B basically B prime really because it's a little different at the end.
The let the blind lead the blind lyric is like, to me that feels like it's gonna be a chorus. Like, it's one of those things like the one of my friends has like a songwriting maxim that's like, write the catchiest thing you can imagine, or write the catchiest chorus you can imagine. Okay, that's the verse of your song. Now write an even catchier chorus. And it feels like that's what this song is.
That school of thought feels like it is inherent to this song. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, love this song. It's incredible. I literally only have one line on this song, but like and it was just that I think the structure is interesting, but like truly like it's a testament to how good these guys are at writing songs.
Yeah. Well, I guess we didn't talk about this at the beginning, but the another thing that's in the interviews in Sellout is that they talk about how this was kind of the first album that is purely a Rise Against album, because a chunk of the Unraveling was like songs Joe had written for 88 Fingers Louie, and kind of repurposed. And this is the one that they from the ground up is a Rise Against album. And to me that comes through in songs like this, where like they're able to kind of appeal to the versatility and power of Tim as a vocalist specifically, as well as adding the cool guitar riffs. I don't know, everything just feels of a piece on this album.
Yeah, definitely.
After that is Last Chance Blueprint, which starts off with a sample from American Beauty.
Sure does.
A core text of the
late
90s or early 2000s. I don't remember what year exactly that movie came out.
I think it might have been 99 or 2000.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, I will make fun of that movie forever. I think it's pretty bad.
I don't like that movie either. Thank you.
the sample works. I like that little
totally
bit from
works.
It in the song, especially as a song about like, feeling like you can't wait any longer to carve out your own path in life, or else you're gonna just get subsumed into the same sort of generic bland monoculture that your parents were part of or that your peers are part of.
Yeah, and like you said, the sample really lines up with that pretty, like, even out of context. Like, in fact, I would argue it works better out of context than it does in context of the movie American Beauty, a movie people shouldn't watch in the year of our Lord 2025. But yeah, like I this is a song that I remember like distinctly having be a favorite early on, but I think it's fallen a little bit in my ranking of songs on this album. But not by much. Like it's still pretty much a banger. Like it's a really great kind of twist on your classic "We Need to Get Out of This Town" song. Like it feels so sincere and so to the point you made earlier about the sense of urgency kind of running under this entire album that's both explicit and implicit in these songs. Like it has that sense behind it in a way that a lot of songs of that ilk don't.
Yeah, it's the personal urgency as opposed to the political, but it's all the same. Did you feel that as a kid when you're hearing this, or are you just were you I gotta get out of this town kid?
I don't know if I was like an I gotta get out of this town kid, but I did recognize that I was living a pretty sheltered life around this point in my life, which it is not inherently a bad thing, obviously, but like the urge to get out and do something else was starting to creep in pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean I guess that's what the liner notes have, that sort of the classic, like, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention line, and like I feel like that's at that about that age is when you start to hear that and really internalize it.
Yeah, definitely.
Then after that is To the Core, which is not this next couple songs are not my favorite part of the record. But I feel like this is just a song about being on like the punk news message boards and comment sections at the time.
Yeah, no, this is the angriest song about the internet I had heard at this point in my life. Like, straight up, no question.
The problem is, Polar Bear Club did this way better on One Hit Back.
Sure.
This song feels like not silly, but like it just less potent to me now. Just because I think that Polar Bear Club song is so good, and I just also think it's probably the weakest song on the album in general.
It does feel strange to not sonically, like it fits very well sonically, but it feels out of place thematically in a way. Like I get it. It is like a song about a personal struggle of having to deal with people on the internet, which is ever present in our lives these days. But like, yeah, like I like this song a lot. I don't know that I would say I would miss it if it went away for sure. But like, I also understand why it is maybe not the best song on the album in most people's opinion, and that's fair.
I don't know. There's like no B-sides for this album too, so I can't like make a case for like another song slotting in there. I don't know. It just got a bit of a like, oh, who's the real punk like vibe to it, which is really the only criticism I'm gonna levy against this album, which I otherwise think is pretty much perfect.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. You gotta nitpick somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just regular pick,
Sure. After that is Torches, a song that has like the most Thursday ass part that Rise Against has ever written in that third verse.
Yeah, I'll give you that one for sure. They are coming from that school of songwriting thought on that one for real. Weirdly, I have the verses on the next song down as being a little Thursday-esque, but that this is much more on the nose on that in that regard. Yeah, I don't know. Like this does again kind of harken back to the getting out of this town thing. Like I think One Horse Town is specifically mentioned in this song, if I can find the lyric.
Yeah, it's more of like a savor or embrace the moment. Like these last two songs are kind of about this like live in the now, embrace this moment. This is kind of more about with a specific person, with a partner, I think, whereas like I think Amber Changing is there's a little bit more going on there.
Yeah.
I think if anything, like the lyrics of the song are a little maybe a cliche ridden, but I still think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, On Windy Nights, I Can Smell the Lake as It Drifts to Me from the Shore is pretty good for people from the general Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
So, that's good to me specifically. Although that said, like, it's not about Chicago. It's about somewhere on the North Shore. I forget where Tim grew up. Wilmette or Winnetka or something. Maybe definitely Evanston. You're totally right. Yeah. So yes, still the lake, just different part of the lake.
Evanston is at least where they were writing this album. In a quote roach infested practice space above an antique shop or something like that.
I mean, that's punk
what they say in Sellout.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Last song on the album is Amber Changing. This is, I think, a great closer. It has this chorus with this line that no place that I'd rather be than right here, right now. No time that I'd rather be than right here, right now. And I don't know if this is exactly what the song is getting at, because I think the text of the song is a little more of just a live in the moment kind of thing. But those lines to me are the most like sort of, I've used the word galvanizing already in this episode, but that's the word I want. I heard that and I'm like, oh, I can't like lament the past or wait too long to like do something. Like I am only here right now, and that's the only time and place that I can have any effect on the world. And every time I hear that, it feels like the most empowering bit of songwriting, even though it's such a simple lyric. I'm very emotional thinking about this song, and like how it has made me want to like shape my life.
Yeah, definitely. I had written down that this is a song about living in the present, but not necessarily as a mindfulness thing, which
Yeah.
I think you pretty much nailed there. It's because everything else is terrifying, but also you can affect the things that happen going forward. So, and the only way to do that is right now. So
Yeah, it reminds me of there's a John K. Sampson lyric that I really love. That's we know this world is good enough because it has to be, and it's like yeah, we don't get another world to work with. This is the one we got, and you know, we have the power. We as people, we as communities have the power to affect change, and like, and we have to use it. Like I don't know, that's what the song is about to me. Even though I don't know if that's all there in the verses, but that's coming at the end of this record. That's what it says to me.
it really feels like that's the thesis of this album, and I don't think that they would close it out with this if that wasn't kind of the idea, like implicitly or otherwise.
Yeah, great album.
Truly, I have. There's not been a moment in the last 22 years where I have not, had this album up there in my personal canon, and it probably will never leave.
Yeah, it's essential. The only additional sort of song from this era outside of the demos we talked about a little bit is the bonus track. At least on the vinyl, but probably on the CDs, definitely on like the digital version.
It is definitely on the vinyl, or on the CD. I remember being shocked by this the first time I heard it.
Yep, it is a cover of Journey's "Any Way You Want It."
Yeah.
Which has basically nothing to do with the like premise of this album or anything about this band. I think it's just a really fun song to play, and it's a really fun cover to listen to.
It's such a good cover. It makes no goddamn sense whatsoever, but I love it so much. It is not like that, like arrangement wise, not wildly different from the original, which is a bonkers thing to think about. But they pull it off so good. Tim's voice sounds great on this song, despite how you would think that a punk rock version of a Journey song would go.
Yeah, it's great. It's really better than it has any right to be.
For real. I'm very sad that on the re-release it's like not on there at all.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it goes album, demos, done. And it's probably because they want you to go listen to long forgotten songs, which it is on.
Okay, it's okay if it's on long forgotten songs, and maybe it's like a rights thing or something.
It's out there. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it'll always be on my CD until it breaks in a tragic accident or something.
Well, or until you get like bit rot or whatever. But
sure, there's also that.
The problem with CDs is that they're all gonna like fall apart someday. They're really not a great long-term archival medium.
Yeah, I gotta go buy the drive for my driveless computer and start backing some stuff up.
Yeah. Anything else about this album?
No, it's so good. My buddy Matt, who I've been in bands with almost as long as I've been in bands with Kyle, who I mentioned on the last episode, has I think this was his first tattoo, was the grenade with headphones coming out of it. So like, and frankly, I saw that and was like, fuck yeah, that's great. I never went that all in on it, but this album's important to me, always has been, probably always will be. I'm really glad that we're talking about it.
Yeah, same. Yeah, and I guess the sort of in the wake of this album, they get signed to a major really like a major label bidding war of sorts. Which, and we'll talk kind of about where they go with that major label contract and money and everything on the next record. But I mean, this is the one that launches them. That takes them from sort of an underground punk band to a real force in the music world. Yeah, I don't know. It's great. I don't really have much else to say either. I feel like I just said over and over again that this album rules, but that's basically just how I feel about it.
That is the problem when we talk about albums like this, is that it does rule, and there's not much more to say than that.
Yeah,
except to try to articulate why it rules.
Right. It's just all right there. But yeah, we should do some random recommendations. What do you got?
So this week I have an album that was almost not on my radar. Like I knew it was happening, but I didn't realize it came out last Friday. The whatever it came out a few days ago as of when we were recording this. I'm gonna recommend the new Clipping album, Dead Channel Sky. It rules. Clipping is the coolest. Like I don't know what to tell you. If you've never for context for people who don't know, Clipping is an experimental rap trio headed or fronted by David Diggs, who people who like musicals may know as the guy from the Broadway Hamilton. He has a really sick hip hop project with two other dudes who come from like wildly different backgrounds. If you've ever watched their Amoeba What's in My Bag, like it is a real glance into the like collective brain of that band, and it makes perfect sense as a whole. But like I've loved all of the stuff they put out up till now, and this album really didn't disappoint. I did get to a point in the album, and I think I mentioned this when I wrote a like short review on it, where I was like, yeah, I don't know, like I halfway through I was like, this isn't as weird as I want it to be, and then it got exactly as weird as I wanted it to be for the rest of the album. There's a really great Outcast homage on this one. Yeah, it just rips. If you're not listening to Clipping, you need to get on that right now, and maybe just go ahead and start here, honestly, and then go listen to their cover of Piano Burning, which closes off and There Existed an Addiction to Blood, which is a wild way to close a record. It is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, I really like There Existed an Addiction to Blood. That is the only Clipping record that I've heard, I think. But it's great. I really need to get to the new one. It's on my to listen list. I just have not. I listen to less records while on paternity leave, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe it. What you got?
My recommendation is not something particularly underground or obscure, but it is something I've been really loving over the past couple months, and that is the TV show Severance, which is in its second season. The second season finale airs in a couple of days. It is kind of the most I've felt like I did when I was watching Lost as a teenager. With the kind of week to week theorizing and guessing what's going on, and also just kind of like the level of like puzzle box mastery that they achieved on this show is quite similar to I think what Lost had in the first, well, really the whole show. I don't have to go deep into my Lost is actually great defense here, but trust me, I'm a Lost defender, including the final season.
Damn.
But this Severance is making me feel a lot like Lost did, which some people might take that as an insult. I mean that is the highest compliment. A really incredible show that is about. I mean, I guess if you don't know what it is, it is a sort of science fiction-y show about a company that has a process of severing your work self from your home self, so that you go into work and you then another version of your personality takes over and does all your work, and then you leave and switch back at the end of the day, and you don't remember anything you did at work, and you don't have to think about it. And so it is sort of a treatise about the idea of work-life balance, and then also like the season has been very focused on the idea of bodily autonomy and which personality, which consciousness inside of you gets control or ownership of a body, and then also therefore like how the amount of control that the company that you work for exerts over yourself, physically and mentally. I don't know, it's a very deep, thematically interesting show that is also just like one of the best sort of sci-fi narratives going on right now.
Sick. I still have not watched the show, to my great chagrin. I need to do that.
For you specifically, the opening credits of the second season feature a very, very specific and cool Twin Peaks homage.
Love it.
Yeah, so I think that's it for this week. This was kind of a short episode, but I mean, like you said, we just kind of gushed about this album, and if you haven't listened to it yet, you should. We probably hyped it up more than than it could ever live up to, but really that's how important this album is to, I think, both of us.
Definitely.
All right, we will be back next week talking about Siren Song of the Counterculture, another, I think, pretty great album.
Yeah, I would argue a very great album.
Cool. See you then.
See you then.